Hello everyone, welcome back to a new Game Creator Basic videos. Today we'll be looking at the Traversal module. Before we get started, I'd like to thank all of my Patreon supporters for the absolutely amazing support. So we're back in our basic scene. I'm going to go to the package manager and I'm going to look up Traversal. And in case you don't have it downloaded yet, you'll have a download button as well. I'm going to press import and import. Then next thing, we're going to go to the module manager and we'll have traversal and traversal examples. So I'm going to enable traversal first. We'll do the examples as well because it basically shows everything that is included. And it's pretty cool, and you'll soon realize that in order to use this, there's not really all that much you have to do. In order to customize and set up new things yourself might take a little bit more work. Anyway, let's start off with the examples. Save, and we'll have our scene. I'm going to hit play. Now by default, as you can see, I'm pressing space and I can't jump. And if we inspect the player, you'll see on the player as well that can jump is turned off. Now there's a reason for this as well. Traversal is basically based a bit on, your games like Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, all of those that have like traversal elements, parkour, whatever you want to call it. And those games basically don't have a manual jump button, and space is just a parkour. Now that doesn't mean you can't have both. Of course you can have both, but then what you'll need to do is you'll need to make sure that on the traversal prefabs, which have triggers, that inside of the trigger, if you inspect it here, you add something else. And right now I'm just going to go back, turn on can jump on the player, and you'll see what I mean. So we can do this and it works, and it works just fine. Now sometimes the can jump can get in the way, so one of the things you can do, so for example, if you do it a bit too soon, by default the default jump force is way too high anyway, kind of like floating. No one can jump this high, so let's do jump force 3. It's a bit more up the scope of what jumping would be. Not so much in a game, but more for the player. Maybe 4. Realistically, yeah, I wouldn't go higher than this. So it would be too much. But one of the things you can do if you want to avoid any issues, in here you can just simply add a property, can jump, and you can turn that off, and basically turn it back on again once he leaves the trigger. So yeah, you can do player enter key, and basically you can add trigger, player enter, trigger, player exit. And I know it's a bit more work. Yeah, 2 actions basically. So property, can jump, turned off, and can jump, turned on again once you exit the trigger. That's a bit more manual setup, but that way you're completely sure that the two won't, mess with each other. But yeah, again, you don't have to do it. As you can see, it's actually pretty reliable and didn't actually accidentally jump inside of the area. So yeah, it's pretty good. Cool. So let's get back to it. So this was the basic vaulting, and as you can see, it has 2 triggers. And basically that means on both sides there's a trigger that allows you to vault. And that's pretty much it. The little block here is literally just, as it mentioned, geometry. It's just a mesh, and that's it. So you can replace, the mesh with any type of mesh you want, and, just make sure the triggers are close enough so that it actually makes sense. And that's it. Pretty cool. Then we have the wall run, so think Prince of Persia. Now the way the wall run works is slightly different. So the wall run has triggers as well, but basically you have a trigger right and a trigger left. Now the left is simply an exit in this case, and the right is an active trigger. So inspect it a bit more, but yes, you can have it go both ways if you want to. Cool. Now this is the more interesting part. This is the climbing, and you know the climbing is directional. Now I'm going to show you something really cool here. So this is a ladder. Let's not grab a ladder. So hold braced. I'm going to duplicate this, and basically, not sure if you can see it really well here, so I might even turn off the lighting. There we go. So you see these green lines, and now basically I've added this one. As you can see, you know, ledge braced, climbable is a new reachable, and that's the way these climb elements work. So now I can actually go, I can go up. Wait, I need to do this one as well. You can manually add it, which I'm going to do now, or you can basically move it a bit. I moved it a bit because I don't want the player to fall. There we go. We go back to the game mode, and as you can see now I can actually jump up and down. So yeah, that's literally all you need to do to make sure these work together. So that's incredibly cool, easy to do. So yeah, ladder. We have the option, by the way, if you inspect the ladder, auto connect. So that's the auto connect option I showed you, and I think in the clip we can decide. I think we can decide the speed here somewhere. Yeah, it's here somewhere. Ah, yeah, there we go, the speed. So if you want the sliding to go a bit slower, for example, you can definitely do that, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so the steps here are simply geometry, nothing else. So it's basically, it all depends on the animation if it's gonna, you know, look well. Cool. This is cool as well. I really like this. You know, just inspect the bar to see, but other than that, it's basically just a climbable. And here we have something else, which is a different type of object. It's marked blue for a reason, because it's, you know, automatically handles a gesture, and basically it's mantle up. Really similar actually to vaulting. So it's an automatic clip that plays and basically pushes you back up. So yeah, the stairs, the ladder, if you have a normal ladder, which we'll have in a bit, actually has that as well. One of the more unique ones here is definitely going to be this one, the rope. Pretty cool. I've seen people experiment with it a lot. Now this blue block is literally the same as that really small one. It's just mantle up and that's it. Cool. Another interesting one is the balance. Now, no, as you can see, you know, I can do stuff and no, I won't fall off. If you want to have something like that with the ledge that you can fall off, you'll need to get creative. Luckily, we have actions now that allow us to you know, exit and enter manually through actions. So you can come up with a game mechanism that allows you to, well, basically fall off. So it's if you want that, that's pretty cool. I would personally hate that. It kind of disrupts the gameplay, but in an adventure, you know, game, it's cool. Now here we have another one, you know, long sought after, which is cover. Really cool, high and low, as you can see. So yeah, that's really nice. And here we go again. Now the reason I was able to switch between these two is, as you can see, these are these red elements, and let's go back into the scene mode a bit. There we go. These red elements can be simply linked to each other. So as you can see, this one is linked to the whole brace. So yes, that technically does mean, I think, we can actually have one here as well, which is weird. I'm gonna move this a bit. Not sure if it will pick up automatically. Oh, this just took the geometry. Yeah, so it looks a bit weird, but anyway, technically now I can, yeah. And there we go. So as you can see, really cool. Now this is definitely one of the more interesting ones. So as you can see, we have you know, all directions. We can go up, down, and, you know, player looks like added as well. Really cool stuff. I really like this. Go up and mantle again. Now this is a ladder, just like we had before. The only difference is that we have an auto up at the end as well. So basically functions just like the blue bit. I think it would have made more sense to make the top one blue as well, but oh well. And we have a zip line as well. Yes, you can change the speed to whatever you want. Zipline is really cool. Titanfall, Apex Legends made this really popular. Big jumps. Suddenly we're Superman, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Incredibly cool. Now the interesting thing here, and I think you've noticed that straight away. These are all just prefabs, and all of these prefabs have a clip, and that clip, which I already showed before, is basically kind of like a melee clip in a sense. As you can see, we have some options here. Yeah, basically they're kind of like melee clips. Not that different. They do look different, but in functionality they're pretty similar. But yeah, it's we have a ton of options here, and that's kind of my point here with Traversal. Incredibly easy to use if you want to customize this. It's not difficult, it just takes more time, and it often seems people tend to forget the clips here, as they're a bit more hidden away than, for example, Melee. But yeah, if you want to alter things, you have the clips. Now, if you want to do something else, so for example, let's grab this one. No, this one. Cool. No, this was a bad example. It needs to be one of the red ones. Yeah, let's go towards our ladder here. Cool. The ladder is one of the most basic, in a sense that a lot of games will have something like this. Now, not every game will have vaulting and parkour elements, but a ladder, pretty basic. So you need to have that in there. It's also one of the things that you need to pay attention to the most. So instead of creating a new scene to just drop in the same prefabs, I'm just going to keep it all in this scene here for the explanation, as it's already set up. It just makes more sense, and they're all just prefabs anyway, so there we go. Cool. So let's have a look at that ladder again. So the ladder consists of several things. So we have the geometry, and those are just the steps. Now I can literally turn the geometry off and it will still function exactly the same. So in case you just need to find where it is. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, the way where he's putting his hands, that's just the animation. So that makes it incredibly easy to put your own synthy, realistic, whatever ladder you want there. That's it. So really simple to do that. So basically, just duplicate the prefab, drop in your own model, and you'd be pretty much done for most things. Now, if you want to customize that animation because it doesn't actually fit your ladder, so say your ladder has a lot of spacing in between and the animation just doesn't fit, then we'd be looking at the clip. And the clip for the ladder is one of the more complicated ones. So we have traverse, jump, and grab. We also have a couple of options here. So automatic. So if you want this, there used to be plenty of games that just automatically put you up. So for example, we do automatic forward. I'm going to go back here. I'm not pressing any buttons and we're going up. So pretty cool. For a lot of games that's actually better, where you don't need the manual input, but it also does mean can't just go back. So pressing that key won't do anything. So yeah, no manual control, just automated. We have input key drop, so the default drop button. So yes, that means you can drop. So oh, before I fall off, you know, if I press shift, we'll basically let go. And yeah, that's literally it. Now you can change that to be the same button if you want to, of course, and you can just, you know, do whatever. That's up to you. You have those options. Cool. Then next thing is the animations. Now in this case we have several animation groups. Luckily they all have their names, so they exactly, you know, they mention exactly what everything is, and you just have to basically replace those animations with your own if you want your own animations. And that's it. So yes, you have to look a little, but you know, it's all there. Now, what if this ladder needs to be a lot higher? So, you know, for example, we need to go, you know, this height. As you know, adding more just, you know, meshes of the steps is not going to do anything whatsoever. So what you need to do is basically alter these points. So as you can see, we have the climbable piece, and I should not have done that. There we go. Um, so this is, I think, the starting point, which I think was 1.5 at default. So let's do that trade just to see what happens. And as you can see, we're, you know, suddenly jumping up a lot higher, which looks horrible, of course. But you know, just so you know how to do it, you can change those axes. So, for example, if your geometry, the steps are really thick, you can change those values to match. So yeah, that's pretty much it. When it comes to the upper points, we have this value as well. I'm just not really sure what's going to happen because we also have a separate trigger here. So I am curious what will happen if we do this. Because I think you need to alter both. No, we don't. Yeah. Yeah, and as you can see, you know, we were climbing higher, but we weren't mounting there. So that's the next thing you need to do, is basically trigger above needs to be somewhere here as well, and mental height needs to be here as well. So as you can see, several different options. Now the trigger above is just so you can climb down again, has nothing to do with climbing up. And now, you know, we successfully extended the ladder, and yeah, we don't have a trigger, so the trigger is up in the air. But yeah, basically press space straight away and we can climb down. But yeah, as you can see, we're climbing basically in the air, so that's pretty much it. Now the reason I picked the ladder is because the ladder is one of the more complex ones in terms of the amount of triggers, the amount of animations. If, for example, we'd have a look at vaulting, you know, it couldn't be much easier. It's one clip, we're done. Ignore collisions has to be turned on, because otherwise it will just look really weird, or not properly work at all. So we just replace one animation, basically one clip, and we're done. And then all you need to do is, you know, change how far we can go, for example. You can change everything you want, the amount of time, etc., etc. So good stuff, cool stuff, but you know, pretty easy to customize, which is really cool. Now obviously we have actions as well, and when it comes to the actions, there's not that many. So we can go to add action here, we can check out traversal, start climbing, you know, overcome obstacle, connect climbable to. Again, this is if you want to do that in runtime, where basically you have you know, game objects that move around, so you can't by default already set them up to be connected, because as you can see, you know, just dragging will connect them. But what if a platform would move around and you want to be able to, you know, connect, etc., etc., disconnect and stop climbing as well. It sounds a bit weird, but climbing and, you know, stop climbing is also used for the cover, for example. So yeah, it's useful. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As you can see, it's mostly just prefabs, a lot of cool ones, tons of animations here. really good ones as well. And I'd recommend just really checking out this demo scene first before you dive in. See how it all works. Don't replace the default prefabs, just create a duplicate or a variant would be my recommendation. And yeah, just play around with all of this cool stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.